again to the Real Collective Podcast. I'm Brendan McKeigan, and I just had a vasectomy. With me, as always, is Sean Tasse.
I did not have a vasectomy.
No, but I did. Sean, how are you, my friend?
Better than you.
Yeah.
I'm okay. We've got my longtime friend Luis, who I randomly bumped into at the store, and he's here to tell us some amazing things about property taxes. I'm good, man. The weather is nice. We're gonna have like this unbelievable November. Halloween's over. Just way too many candies in our house. It's all good.
Feel that. There's a little diabetes drawer upstairs that we got to get rid of.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you.
That'll do it.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have this conversation because there's some neat stuff that we're going to talk about today that most people I don't think would necessarily know the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not the taxes type. Get out of here. What? That's why I have an accountant, everybody.
I was going to make a joke about nuts and bolts and how you're not that kind of guy.
Yeah. And that's the ball game. It's over, everybody. I'm actually, anyway, I haven't taken any painkillers. It was a smooth, easy process. So sidebar, if anyone is worried about getting a vasectomy, don't, because it happened yesterday. And I slept for the longest I've ever slept in my life. And that could have been because of that, but it also could have been because I haven't slept since I've had children. So that was a good excuse. But I'm back at it. And we have Luis Vasquez on. So why don't we jump into it? We're going to talk about some property taxes, how people can go about calculating them, what they can expect, different types, like when you're waterfront, all that kind of good stuff. So, Sean, I know that you guys actually went to school together, so I'm going to leave it to you to choose where we start today.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll throw it to you, Luis. I'll let you introduce yourself to everybody, give a bit of background of who you are, what you do, what's happened in the last 20 years of your life since you graduated since we got our degrees here together.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. So to tell you a bit about myself, my name is Luis Vasquez. I'm a lawyer and I practice immigration law, wills and estates, and real estate law. And I've been practicing since 2010. I decided to go on my own. So it's been a while. And so Sean and I went to school. We did our undergrad together in philosophy. And so, from time to time, we'd bump into each other on campus and we'd have deep conversations about all the important things. But more importantly, Brendan, you weren't kidding. You did have a vasectomy?
Yeah. About literally 24 hours ago from when we recorded this podcast.
You look
at this very minute.
You do, your energy levels are beyond what I would expect from somebody who got it. I've heard that it's quite painful.
No, it's a laser now. It's not painful at all. Like they just go in, and the worst part is when they have to do the freezing. Because they just it's going to feel like an elastic. So when someone holds an elastic to your back and goes, heck, that's how they kind of do the freezing. Not with an elastic. I'm sure it's much more medically advanced than that. But no, it was like a couple, 2 or 3 places where they administer the freezing. And that to date has been the most painful part. So otherwise.
So, when you say administer, do you mean they give you shots on your arm and your legs?
Yep.
Good.
Definitely not on where they're going to be doing the work. Yeah. No, but honestly, it wasn't that bad. And like I said, I literally went to bed yesterday. I don't even know if I mentioned this. I went to bed yesterday when I got home at 11:30 a.m. and I woke up today at 7:30 a.m.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I was backlogged on sleep and didn't need anything. I never woke up in pain throughout the entire thing. I woke up, went to the bathroom, had some water, that kind of stuff. But no pain. Just good, man. Just good.
I need vasectomies then. My sleep is terrible.
Yeah. If you can't sleep, highly recommend getting a vasectomy.
Multiple.
Just keep getting them going. Just do one at a time. Just do
once a week. All right, guys. Well, so Sean and I bumped into each other after a few years of not seeing each other because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And, we were chatting and he invited me onto the show, and I was very happy to come on, and I was very honored. And so he asked me, hey, Luis, pick a topic in real estate law that you think is useful. So I told him, look, I'm thinking property tax arrears. Is that relevant? And I really enjoyed Sean's response. He said something to the effect of, it isn't until it is. And that's why I'm here today. Because at some point for home buyers, they will likely, doesn't happen often, but it does happen. They'll encounter a situation in the context of a residential purchase where they, a few months after the purchase is closed, they'll look in the mail and they'll see that there's a notice from the city of Ottawa or from their municipality, depending on where they live in Ontario, saying, hey, you owe money for water, or you have tax arrears for 2 years. And so then the question becomes, what do you do? And so today, I wanted to talk to you about, well, what are property taxes exactly? How are they calculated so that you have an understanding about what they are? I also wanted to talk about, okay, how do you pay them so that you don't end up in a situation where if you sell your property, somebody's going to come knocking at your door months after the sale closes asking for money. And I also wanted to talk about, well, what if you can't pay your property taxes? Is there relief for a homeowner? And the answer is, in limited cases, there is relief. And then the last thing is, if you're a buyer and once you purchase the property, you discover that property or water account arrears are under your name, what should you do? What are the steps you need to take? As I was telling you guys earlier, this is an incredibly dry subject. So please, if you want to throw in puns or make fun of how dry it is, I invite you. Okay, so interject whenever you want. I understand the rhythm of this show is upbeat, and if you want to sleep, continue listening to what I'm about to say. So please, I depend, Sean, on you and on you, Brendan, to keep me in line.
Brendan's all slept out.
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh no, Brendan. This is scary.
I'm in. Let's go. I'm ready for this. I just went through this. I bought a new build, so they didn't assess the property taxes, and then they finally got it to us. So this is helpful for anybody that did buy a new build.
Very good. So I'll try to address that in the second part, because the situation you're in, and since there are so many new builds, can be a bit confusing. But let's start from the beginning. What are property taxes? And
I have the answer, I think.
Sean.
Yes. Okay, good. Oh, we'll do a quick Q&A. That's fun. Right. So property tax, the taxes that you pay on your property, they're assessed by MPAC. They also include your school taxes. So you get to choose what school board you want to pay your taxes to. And so it includes the value of your home, the value of your land, and the appropriate school board that you'd like to pay. They're assessed at a percentage of the overall assessed value of your property, and that they're typically paid, you're sent 2 bills. It's broken down half and half throughout the year.
Amazing. That's half my presentation. Oh, I'm so relieved. Much better. So smooth. Oh my God. So let's talk a bit about that. So there are 2 components to the property taxes. As you mentioned, Sean, there's a school component, which I think you described perfectly. And there's a municipal portion. And that municipal portion corresponds to what are the expenses that municipality has to make in order to provide the services that they do to your area. And so that will differ from municipality to municipality in Ontario. So every municipality has its own list of priorities, and they will have, I suppose, a different percentage on that they use in order to calculate it. Now, the key thing here is how is the value of the property assessed by this MPAC. So MPAC, just to give you a background, is the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. It's a not-for-profit organization that's funded by the province of Ontario and municipalities. And so they have 200, believe it or not, 200 variables or 200 items that determine how they value your property. But really, 5 major factors account for 85% of the value. And so what are those 5 factors? One is location, the dimensions of your lot, the living area, the age of the property, and that's adjusted for with any major renovations or additions. And finally, the quality of the construction. So as you can imagine, I mean, these sound like pretty abstract principles. Well, some are pretty objective, they're practical, so such as the living area, the location, lot dimensions. But then we get into, age of the property and major renovations. How do you adjust for that? Or the quality of the construction, how do you adjust for that? In any event, they do that. They're the ones responsible for doing that for every property. And they do it every 5 years. Though as of 2020, this is just some fun background information for those property tax heads. They've stuck to the values used as of January 1st, 2016. For the last 2 years, 21 and 22, there have been no property assessments done. Sean.
But Luis, the value of properties has gone up drastically since 2016. So are we all about to get a rude awakening in terms of what our property tax bill is going to be moving forward?
Great question, Sean. I don't like delivering bad news, so I'm going to hand it over to Brendan. Brendan, your thoughts?
Well, I as someone who just ordered his property taxes merchandise, I'm very excited for my T-shirt and hat to come in. So I'm really excited to see what we can do. I think we got a great group of guys, and I think if we take it one tax at a time, I think we're all going to come out better off for it. Back to you.
Amazing. Those are my sentiments exactly, Sean. Mm-hmm. Though I do believe that, as you mentioned, the bubble that we were in during the pandemic, where we saw a dramatic increase in prices, will certainly have an impact, because MCAP looks at the actual value that properties around your property were sold. And so on the one hand, that's great if you want to sell. On the other hand, it's not so good because it'll affect what the value that MCAP gives to your property is. So the next item I wanted to talk about is, okay, so now we know what property taxes are, how they're calculated, and what they're for. The second part is, well, look, how do we avoid getting into problems of arrears? And so the simple answer, the banal answer, and I hate saying this, is, well, there are different ways that you can pay your taxes. And, you can do it online with a credit card or a debit card. There is a fee of $1.99 that applies. Oh. In person, you can go in and interact with other human beings.
What else you got?
That's right. You can do it through a financial institution. And finally, there are a lot of lenders who insist that they pay for them. And so in that case, the lender will take care of the property taxes. They'll get you to sign something called a pre-authorized debit form, and another form that allows them to withdraw money or to take money from your account and put it towards property taxes. Now, the reason they do that, and this is an important part, is that the lender knows that if a homeowner doesn't pay property taxes, those property taxes are they're stuck with the property. They can become it's not a lien, but the municipality has the power to place an interest on the property equivalent to the arrears owed, and unless they're paid, then those arrears remain with the property. So there's a difference here that I wanted to make. There's a distinction between, let's say, utilities, where the debt is in the name of the account holder. And once the account holder sells the property, that debt carries with the account holder, versus water arrears and tax arrears. Those stick with the property itself. And so
do those arrears, what position are they in? Do they fall into second position after the first mortgage, or third position if there's a second mortgage on the property?
Great question. So it would be, the mortgage would be in first priority. And then, however, property taxes are so, what would the word be, potent, that if they're large enough, the municipality can try and sell the property in order to recoup the value.
That's a great word you use, Luis. I think it might be a bit of a trigger word for Brendan, though.
Recoup?
Potent.
Sean, I saw the look in your eye. I don't think people can see this since it's a podcast, but you had, as soon as I said potent, I looked at your face and it just lit up all of a sudden. And then you were waiting like a kid in Halloween.
I couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah, you know what's going to be potent after getting a vasectomy is my bank account. At least more than it would with 3 or 4 instead of 2.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So I'm in a good spot, which is this chair with an ice pack.
There you go.
There's an ice pack.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to wear it for 10 and off for 20. So through the magic of television, I'll take it off on the break. This is a lot more insight into my vasectomy than what the property taxes are. We're like doing a half and half show. I'm very happy for all of us here.
It should focus completely on the vasectomy. I'm not going to.
Yeah, that'll be the second half.
Perfect. Oh, thank God. I have questions. That's for sure.
Great.
But so those are the ways that you pay property taxes. Now, what happens if you can't pay property taxes? What if you're elderly or you have an illness? Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, I've got a bunch of questions. I wonder if we should save this part for the second half,
Sure.
as well as a couple of questions that I've got. I've got questions about whether or not it's seen on the title search, and then questions about tax sales. But we can get into that in the second bit.
Yeah, you're on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt, but I think it's a good time for a break. So we'll listen to a word from our sponsors. And if you are having a good time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on the YouTubes, Spotify's, and the Apple Podcasts. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Luis Vasquez.
This episode of the Real Collective podcast is brought to you by Real Collective. Real Collective brings together best-in-class real estate agents and collective experts in the field to deliver the best possible service to our clients. We govern ourselves with honesty, open-mindedness, and compassion. With diverse skill sets, our agents are able to better serve a wide array of clients, including first-time buyers, first-time sellers, transferees, estate sales, investors, and rural, vacation, and luxury properties. Authenticity and transparency are pillars of our process, which allows us to put our clients at the center of everything we do. Our years of experience and knowledge allow us to deliver prestigious service and optimal results. If you are interested in buying or selling your home, contact us today at realcollective.ca.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of the Real Collective podcast. And besides other things getting cut out, there's a few things I forgot to do, and I cut them out too. So I've vasectomied the fact that we have Calendly links below where you can click on the links and have an appointment with Sean or I for any of your real estate needs, or if you want to go over what you heard today, or if you just want to talk to us about the latest season of Game of Thrones. I haven't seen it, so if you just want to vent, I'm here for you. So getting into the second half, there's some things that we were going to ask Luis and get into that. So why don't we begin? Sean, you had a nice little list going.
Yeah. Well, you know me, I'm always taking notes and wanting to know more things. So, if taxes aren't paid on a property, is that not picked up during the process of the title search, or if the water or taxes are in arrears? Do we not know that before closing typically?
It's a great question. So when I'm retained by a home purchaser, a residential home purchaser, one of the due diligences that I have to do is a series of searches. So there's a title search, but there's also a request for a tax certificate. It costs us $73. We do it online, though you can do it in writing and send it in by fax or by email. And it reveals a history of the property taxes as they relate to that property. So if there are arrears owing, that's how we normally discover the amount due. Now, this is important because we can then approach the vendor's lawyer through a requisition and with a copy of the tax certificate, explaining to them, hey, look, this needs to be paid from the purchase proceeds. So part of that should be tagged and set aside in order to pay these property taxes. Simultaneously, the vendor's lawyer would also discover these arrears. Normally, they should discover these arrears by talking to their client and saying, hey, are there any tax arrears? And generally they would say yes. The vendor's lawyer should also demand that that their client, the seller, provide them with a recent tax bill. And so there are two lines of defense against these arrears. Sometimes, though, things happen and things slip through the cracks. And so later on today, I'm going to discuss what you do when you're in that situation where there are arrears and nobody noticed, and now the owner gets a bill for $10,000 for arrears and property taxes. So does that answer your question, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Yeah, there are more, and I'll let you get into the bit about how homeowners can get some relief with regards to their tax bill, because there's some neat things that people might not know about there.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. And to be honest with you, during my 12 years, God, where's the time gone? During the 12 years of practicing law, I haven't had one client ask me about this. So it's not something that comes up. And I think it's because people aren't aware that these relief programs exist. I should caveat that and say they apply in very limited circumstances. So maybe you find yourself in a situation where property taxes are too cumbersome. The paycheck doesn't stretch enough to pay them. There are some alternatives for certain individuals. You could make a request for a tax adjustment. There are also rebates that exist, and there are deferrals. So in the context of the city of Ottawa, and I'm sure every municipality has their own set of relief mechanisms. The Municipal Act allows for certain relief. So, for example, tax adjustments, you would pay less taxes if there's a change of tax class. And so if your land becomes vacant, or something they call, or if you have excess land, if a building on the land was razed or damaged by fire or demolition, these are factors that impact the property taxes that you have to pay. So that's the starting point, and that applies for anyone who owns a property. If there's a change of tax class as a result of a change event, then you might be eligible to pay less taxes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. So Other examples or other relief exists for individuals who can't pay taxes because of sickness or extreme poverty. So let's say you're a homeowner, you just lost your job. Your partner, if you have a lot, loses their job as well. In that situation, if you can collect the evidence necessary to demonstrate, look, we're out of work, then that would be another circumstance where tax relief may be possible. Or if there's an error in the calculation of taxes to your property. So if you were overcharged due to what they call a gross or manifest error, that is clerical or factual in nature, then you can go to the municipality and tell them, hey, look, I've overpaid. And of course, in order to demonstrate any of these things, you need documentation. Now, the City of Ottawa also offers 2 deferral programs. So that doesn't mean that the taxes are canceled. It just means that they're deferred to a later date for low-income seniors and low-income people with disabilities. There's a provincial level of tax relief. Again, for seniors, it's called the Senior Homeowners Property Tax Grant. So this is a grant that the province provides, and it helps low to moderate income seniors with the cost of property taxes. And the second item is the Ontario Energy and Property Tax Credit. In order to qualify for that, though, you must apply for the Ontario Trillium benefit by filing your personal income tax and completing what's called the on-ben application form. So those are the various areas of relief.
That's very, very dry and unexciting. I would say that I have heard about people moving into a new home, and especially as the market is on a downward swing. Thankfully, we're all paying taxes that were assessed in 2016, so our assessed values are certainly a lot lower than they will be moving forward. But if they're going to assess our tax values on the peak market and the market's come down a little bit since then, there might be an opportunity when we get assessed to require or to ask for a reassessment. And we've done that with some clients in the past, and help them say, like, look, you're charging based on a property value of 800,000. We just bought this place for 600. So it doesn't equate. So please reduce our taxes. So there's an opportunity there for sure. The other piece that I wanted to jump into is, if you are a buyer and somehow, some way this falls through the cracks and you wind up with this $10,000 bill in your mailbox from unpaid property taxes and water and sewer bill, what do you do?
Great question. And so I guess I can end at least the boring part of my presentation here. I have an example to give. I had a client who sold their property, and unbeknownst to me, there was a tax certificate that demonstrated arrears in the amount of, I'm just opening up the file right now. As soon as I saw it, I literally started crying for them. But it's a total of $68,571. That's how much they owed in property taxes. Generally, after 3 years, the municipality will notice. They'll say, hey, wait a minute, they haven't paid property taxes. And but in this case, I'm not sure how it happened. There were arrears in that amount. Municipality has a power of sale of properties with unpaid taxes. But in any event, in this case, we did catch it because we did search and we were able to put some of the sale proceeds towards the arrears. But let's say you don't catch it and you're a new homeowner, and in 2 months you get a bill for $68,571. What do you do? So here's what you should do.
Burn your house down and change your property tax class.
And your name.
Claim the insurance.
Okay, we'll do lightning round. Brandon, what would you do?
Vasectomy the house.
Sean, what would you do?
Burn it all down, collect all the insurance money, and run away. And change the tax class so that it now is vacant land that I'm paying tax on.
Oh my God. Okay, Sean, you're the clear winner. Sorry, Brendan. The vasectomy was excellent, but I feel like Sean's plan was a long-term plan.
Do we have to blast a disclaimer on this that people know we're being sarcastic?
Please do.
Don't burn
What the podcast told me to.
And don't burn your house down and collect insurance.
Yeah.
Ever. That's not.
Well, so what you should do is you contact your lawyer and calmly explain to him, I have a bill in my hand for $68,000. And you try to keep your hand from him hearing your hand shaking with rage. So what will happen then is that your lawyer, the buyer's lawyer, will contact the vendor's lawyer and calmly tell him, hey, by the way, there's $68,000 in tax arrears owing. Please ask your client to write us a check so that we can pay it. In the meantime, while you wait to hear back from the vendor's lawyer, if the buyer has $68,000 kicking around, he should pay that amount right away in order to stop interest, because interest does accrue on that amount. Now, best case scenario, the vendor's lawyer reaches out and says, hey, can you give me the spelling of your client? We're going to send out a check, no problem. For an amount that big, you don't want a check, you want a bank draft in guaranteed funds. Worst case scenario, and this is where title insurance comes in. Remember, property taxes stick with the property. They don't stick with the owners. They don't. It's not like an account with Enbridge where it's the owner's name that absorbs that debt. In this case, it's the property itself. Whoever's the owner assumes that debt, which is like being in the dating world. You're out there, you're dating, you're going to assume the baggage and vice versa of the person you end up dating. Same thing. And so,
sorry, when you said baggage, that's a bit of a trigger word for me.
I apologize. I will be more observant. But luckily, title insurance, which 99% of all properties have, and which is demanded, and which you should insist to obtain if your lender isn't already asking you to, title insurance will pay for those arrears in case the vendor cannot. And so if the vendor can, then this issue can be resolved very quickly. If the vendor refuses and ghosts his lawyer, then there's an application process that takes a few weeks with your title insurance provider. I won't give any names for the title insurance companies. That's something that you can discuss with your lawyer. But they'll do the paperwork in order to pay off the water arrears and the tax arrears. So that's the way you resolve it.
Good. So one last thing before you go, you mentioned that sometimes houses will be in such bad arrears, and often it's houses without mortgages that are really, really old houses. They'll be in such bad arrears that the municipality will have a power of sale for unpaid taxes. And I actually have had some clients buy houses through this power of sale, and the purchase price is like low. Like the purchase price is like, here's the unpaid taxes, $68,000. You can buy this house for $68,000. Like there's some crazy good deals out there. Do you know how buyers might be able to find houses that are for sale through a tax sale? If you don't, that's okay.
Okay, that is a great question. And to be honest with you, I haven't dealt specifically with that situation. I've dealt with power of sale situations where the bank itself, through their lawyer, will value the property and then put it on the market. So I imagine it'll be a similar process. The municipality will hire a law firm in order to take care of the paperwork? Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. So sometimes when the mortgage holder sells them through power of sale, yes, they're required to maximize the sale price. But the municipal power of sales that I've seen don't go to the open market. They simply are like, when you hear about like a car getting impounded and then it's like just, like a police sale, like an impound police sale. This
I get all my cars.
Underground, tax sale, power of sale, hosted only by the municipality. Where how, like I said, I've got a client, and he does this on a regular basis. He goes and buys these places, and they're like dirt cheap. So maybe that's an opportunity. If you've stuck around this long and listened all the way until now. Congratulations. And here's your nugget. Reach out to Brendan or I. Nugget? No?
I don't have them.
Reach out to Brendan or I, and we can help put you in touch with how you can find these municipal tax sales and potentially get a smoking good deal, pun intended, on a house. Smoking fire? No?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know you meant because of the laser.
No. There's smoke coming off. There's a problem. So
good time.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Luis, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they want to talk to you more about if they're having issues with it or if they just need some advice on their municipal taxes?
Brendan, they can go to my website, www.vasquezlaw.ca. That's VASQUEZLAW.ca. And my contact information is there: telephone number, email, and office address.
Perfect. So we'll put a link to your website down below so people can click on that. That'll be fantastic. Thank you very much for being on the show today. That was great. I'm glad we got to have a two-sided conversation there. We covered a wide variety of topics of things that work and things that don't. And it was nice to touch base with you. I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. Again, if you guys had a good time with this podcast, just tell your friends and subscribe, share the YouTube channel for the Real Collective. That would help us out immensely. And you can talk to Sean or I with our Calendly links below. So book an appointment. We'll help you with whatever you need or whatever you need to talk about as far as real estate goes. Even if it's not real estate, whatever. Let's have a good time. So until the next one, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the YouTube channel on the next one. Until then, keep it real.
Collective.
Nailed it.